Hello and welcome. Olá e bem-vindos. Se falar português, use as legendas, se faz favor. Eu vou falar em inglês neste vídeo. Whenever I tell somebody about this channel or my website, they'll stop and look at me, sometimes with a kind of a funny look, and they'll ask why. It's like they don't understand why anybody would be interested in studying the prehistory of Portugal. But once you start learning about it, you'll find that there is so much about it that is really mysterious and absolutely mind-boggling. Let me tell you about some of the most fascinating aspects of prehistory. Portugal is a wonderful country full of gorgeous scenery, lovely people, excellent food, and it has a fascinating and long history full of kings and queens and knights and conquests and sailors and explorers and earthquakes and all kinds of things. I love to learn about history, and I love to learn about Portugal's history, and it's easy to do that. There are books and magazines and websites, and there's lots of information. You want to know about someplace? Just go and look it up. For example, I was visiting the town of Elvas recently, and it has some wonderful architecture and history, and I was fascinated by the aqueduct that goes right through the center of town. I wondered why it was called the Aqueduct of Amoreiras. So I looked it up, saw that on Wikipedia it was named after the village about 8 kilometers away where the aqueduct started. And you can find detailed information about just about any historic place in Portugal. Even the Roman villa of Freiria, which is located near my home. It doesn't look like much, it's just the foundations of a villa from Roman time. But if you look it up on Wikipedia, you'll get all kinds of information, including who built it or when it was built, and even the names of people who lived there. But that's not the case with prehistoric sites. Look up Portugal's most famous prehistoric site, the Cromlech dos Almendres. This site is a collection of hundreds of megalithic menhirs, carved stone obelisks, arranged in an oval on a plain in the Alentejo, oriented towards the sunrise. You can read about it in books. It's listed in tourist guidebooks. There's extensive Wikipedia articles about it. There's lots of information in Portuguese and in English. But if you look more closely, you'll see that things get a little bit fuzzy. When exactly was it built? We're not exactly sure. Who built it? We don't really know. How did they build it? We have ideas. Why did they build it? We've got theories. Some things archaeologists can find out about it. They can excavate the site and find artifacts and study them in detail and get some really good information about the people who built it and the time period it was built and what it was used for. And if they compare it to other sites, they get more information. But some information we may never know. What were the names of the people who built it and lived there? What language did they speak? Unless we invent a time machine, we're never going to have the answer to those questions. And this not knowing is kind of thrilling. Everybody loves mysteries. In prehistory, we have lots of questions, lots of things we don't know. And you just have to accept the fact that we'll never know all the details and enjoy the mystery. And if you like mysteries, you've got to love prehistory because there's so much of it. And this is one of the mind-boggling things about studying prehistory is how much of it there is. Let's take a little journey back in time. Right now I'm filming this in the year 2025. Let's step back a little bit to sort of the beginning of the world we know, 50 years ago. 1975 is 50 years ago, and it's right about then that the world as we know it kind of began. The first email was invented in 1971. The first cell phones were being developed around 1973. People stepped onto the moon in 1969. Microsoft was invented in 1975. And here in Portugal, the modern day came after the Carnation Revolution, which had been in 1974. So the modern world as we know it can fit in to the last 50 years. Let's go back further. 1,000 years. That's about when Portugal first began. Dom Afonso Henriques was crowned the first king of Portugal in 1139, about 900 years ago. So the last 1,000 years, or the last millennium, we could consider it the age of Portugal. And if we go back further, another 1,000 years, we get to the dawn of recorded history, at least here in Portugal. Recorded history, the records we have go back to the Roman era, which came about 2,000 years ago. Recorded history in different parts of the world may be a little bit older. Prehistory is much bigger than recorded history. Human beings, Homo sapiens, people like you and me, have been here in Portugal for around about 30,000 years. One of the earliest Homo sapiens records here in Portugal is the Lepedo child, or the Menino de Lepedo, which is a child who was found entombed in a shelter up north of Lisbon in an area called Leiria. And this is interesting. It was dated about 24,000 years ago. And it's fascinating because the physiology of that child and the genetics seem to indicate that there were still Neanderthals living in Portugal at that time, and that Homo sapiens was interbreeding with them. The child has features that seem to represent a mix of Homo sapiens and Homo neanderthalensis. So people like you and me were here in Portugal up 30,000 years ago. In that whole time period, people have been living, working, doing things, building things, making things, carrying on their lives, and we don't know because there's no recorded history. What we can see are the fossilized records, or the constructions they built, or the evidence they left on the land by digging ditches or setting up settlements and things like that, or leaving artwork. And some of that is huge. For example, the Cromlech dos Almendros was constructed over a period of time, and so therefore being used, that seems to be about 3,000 years long. That means that that one structure was being used by people like you and me for longer than we've had recorded written history. And all of that is for Homo sapiens. People like us, but slightly different species, have been here far longer. The first human remains in Portugal dates back 400,000 years ago, where a cranium from a Homo heidelbergensis was found in a cave north of Lisbon. It wasn't a Homo sapiens, but it was a person kind of like us. So if we include that, the prehistory of Portugal is enormous. And I haven't even started talking about the dinosaurs. So prehistory is enormous. And there's a lot of mysteries in this, which makes it, for me at least, and for most people who've started looking into it, a fascinating thing to find out. If you didn't think so before, I hope you agree with me now. And please do come along with me on my trips around Portugal to visit some of these sites and learn something about the prehistory of this wonderful country. Thanks for watching. Obrigado por assistir.